A lot of people put up with stuff in their relationships that just truly is unacceptable behavior. But sometimes, even though it's hard to understand for people who haven't been in this situation, it can be difficult to identify that your relationship is in fact toxic or abusive. Last year, I wrote an article about realizing that your relationship is bad, and I gave a list of so many things that your partner could do to you that really are warning signs that you shouldn't be with the person. And someone actually reached out to me and said that it helped them, which is amazing. I want to be that person who can say what people need to hear, because I was in the position where I needed someone to tell me how bad it was. So I'm gonna go through the list I made in that article, and I hope it can be helpful for someone. Point number one is that your partner is controlling you. If they are interfering with what you're allowed to do in your life, who you're allowed to be around, what you're allowed to do, where you're allowed to go, how you're allowed to act around people, if they're telling you what to do and stuff like that, that's not okay. You're your own person and no one should take ownership over you in that way. Are you scared to tell them things because you fear their reaction? If you feel like you constantly have to be walking on eggshells in your relationship to not say the wrong thing, or there are certain things that you can't tell them because you know it will lead to an explosion of emotion from them and just a lot of anger, your partner should be someone that you're able to be open with and talk to about everything without being scared that they're gonna be angry. Do you worry about their opinion of you or how they feel about you? So do you constantly feel like you have to prove that you're good enough for them, or that you have to be better than you really are to be the person they want you to be? It's okay if your partner doesn't love every single thing about you, but you shouldn't be made to feel like you're either not good enough or every single little thing you do could change their opinion of you and just make them not want you anymore. You know, you shouldn't have to be worried about how they feel about you, because there should be a strong connection and you should feel in a safe position that they like you, and that's just not going to change every day because of whatever you do that they didn't like, or you did something that they hadn't told you you were allowed to do. This one is a big one. Do they not allow you to have friends of a specific gender? Which I am a person with a very mixed friend group, so I have had issues with this in the past. I had an ex who messaged several of my male friends without me knowing and told them like not to meet me or not to hang out with me and stuff like that. And I know that it's a common issue that people are worried that, you know, you might be doing something you shouldn't be doing, but it's so unfair for them to project their insecurity onto you and restrict who you're allowed to be around. It's really no one's right to tell you who you can be friends with. Well, this one is just a bad relationship in general, not necessarily abusive, but do they lie to you? If someone thinks that telling you the truth isn't important and that it's okay for them to lie to you, it's bad. If your partner isn't honest with you, I don't know what the foundation of your relationship is, because if trust and honesty isn't there, I don't see the point of a relationship. Do they make you feel bad about yourself? There is so much that partners can do to make you feel bad about yourself, such as picking on you constantly, even in public, which is really degrading and embarrassing. Do they call you names? Like, do they body shame you? Do they slut shame you? Absolutely every single thing that they can put you down about, they probably will, because that's how they're gonna make you stay with them. If you feel even worse about yourself, then it makes you more likely to stay with them. So it's just a horrible thing to do to someone. Do you worry about which version of them you'll meet today? As I mentioned in my Why People Stay in Abusive Relationships video, it's not always bad. An abusive relationship is terrible, but it's not always bad. There are good parts, and a lot of the time you never know what side of your partner that you'll meet that day, and you never know what to expect. If you're worried about whether you'll see the nice side of your partner today or the bad side, there shouldn't be a bad side. Oh my god, do they hide their phone or their messages from you? If someone is being super sketchy about their phone, or you're, you know, watching their screen and then a snapshot from a certain person pops up and you know what that is, and they're like, whoops. If they are refusing to like give you their passcode, which I don't think you have to, you know, necessarily. This is a huge discussion. I don't think you need to share passwords and all of that with your loved ones, because if my partner felt the need to look through my phone to trust me, there would not be a relationship. But if you picking their phone up freaks them out, then you know, okay, so are they mean to you? There's so many ways a partner can be mean to you, and I obviously don't have time to go into each of these points in detail, but if they are actually mean to you, they don't treat you right, they say nasty things, they call you names, they put you down, they complain about you, they complain about everything you do, your partner is a big part of your life, and that whole thing is just going to be negative and is going to be filled with all this toxic energy that they're pouring onto you. Do they make things out to be worse than they are? That's that's a bit more comfortable because my leg was falling asleep. The example I want to use here is jumping to conclusions. If they constantly jump to conclusion and expect things to be bad, or they expect it to be way worse than they are, and they expect the situation to be something that it isn't, that's not nice. I once went to my friend's house wearing a onesie to watch a movie, and my partner at the time broke up with me simply because I did that. If they instantly think of bad things or expect the worst from you, you can't keep trying to convince them that it's not that way, or trying to explain that actually I'm just watching a movie, I don't know what you're on about. So this is a big one, especially for emotionally abusive relationships, and it is, do they freeze you out? I listened to a podcast about a girl who spoke about their ex, and it was very similar to my ex. Like every time she went to go and do something fun that she enjoyed, her boyfriend would suddenly be mad at her for some random reason and then like not talk to her. So obviously she was worried about that and upset about it, so it ruined her experience. For me, when I was with my abusive ex, every time I went back to Norway, obviously they couldn't control me then because I wasn't there, and they had no, you know, say in what I did or whatever, so they would always freeze me out whenever I did that. So they would always make me really worried that something was wrong, not only when I went to Norway, but if people came to visit me and stuff as well. It was terrible. Oh my god, do they refuse to apologize? If your partner knows they've hurt you and they refuse to acknowledge it, or if they acknowledge it, they still won't apologize because they won't put themselves in that position where they need to apologize to you. Or if they apologize and they pretend that they're so nice and it's never gonna happen again, and then, you know, it still does. I don't even know if an apology is worth anything from abusive people because they're just gonna do it again. Are they acting sketchy? If they're acting sketchy, they are sketchy 100% of the time. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna make that conclusion because why would someone be sketchy if they have nothing to hide? I think you should always be open with your partner. If you're being sketchy and hiding stuff and all of that, like, it's such a bad sign. It's a red flag, covering your face, choking you. Like, it's so clear. Do they refuse to trust you? One of the first things my ex told me is that they didn't like that I'm gay because then there's more chance that I'm gonna cheat on them. If someone has issues trusting you without you having done anything wrong, they either have some previous trauma that they need to heal from before they're ready to be in a relationship, because they shouldn't put that shit on you. That's just so unfair. If someone just refuses to trust you when you've done nothing wrong, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna prove yourself if you being honest isn't enough? Do they expect you to always compromise for them every single time? As we all know, compromise is a big part of a relationship, but it's a compromise, so it's not always you making the compromise. Like, sometimes you have to give something and sometimes they have to give something. At least that's how a healthy, balanced relationship should be, but that's not what we're talking about today. If someone is always expecting you to make the sacrifice, or you to compromise, and you to always, you know, kind of carry the team, that's not being a partner, that's being some kind of servant. Do they threaten you? This can of course be a lot of different things. They should not be making you feel that you have to do this for them, or you have to stay with them, or they will do these things to you. I've been threatened a lot, but I'm not going to go into that in this video because we don't have the time. Are they inconsistent? If you never know what to expect from them, if you never know where they're at, if you never know where you got them and how they're, you know, feeling towards you, or how they're going to treat you that day, or where your relationship stands and all of that, if you never know what to expect from your partner and you can't rely on them to actually show up and actually do stuff for you and actually be there for you and all of that, it's bad. If they're inconsistent, they just don't care enough. Do they talk to other people? It's super hurtful to see someone talk to other people, especially when of course you're not allowed to do that, you know. It's a monogamous relationship for your part, but not for them. If they're talking to other people and that's not the arrangement you have for your relationship, you need to leave. Oh my god, I forgot I wrote this one. Do they compare you to other people or to their exes? Okay, so my ex used to compare me to one of my friends, or not, maybe not compare me, but they used to kind of fantasize a little bit about one of my friends that luckily they only met like once, I think. But it's horrible to be compared to someone else because you can't be them. Like, you're yourself, you're not them. And if they keep talking about their exes like in a good way, or in a like, oh, she was this or she was that, you know, in that kind of way, like, that's not it's not good. Of course you can talk about your exes in a relationship. I don't think that's unhealthy in itself, because it's interesting to share experiences, and sometimes you need to tell people because, like, hey, I've been through this, and if I flinch, that's because of this. Oh my god. Do they frequently break up with you and then take you back? So like, my ex probably broke up with me more than 10 times, between 10 and 20 times. I don't know, who's counting at this point, right? And absolutely 0 of these were valid breakups. It was like, I would say like, oh, Norway is like this, and then they went, you're so arrogant, I can't believe you said that, breaking up with you, you know, like that kind of stuff. Literally just breakups triggered by nothing. Like, you can do the smallest thing wrong and then they break up with you. Like, you're constantly constantly feeling like you're about to be broken up with. You're always like on edge and you never know whether your relationship will last another month. It's a terrible place to be, and no one should be making you feel that insecure in your relationship. Do they speak badly of your friends? And if any of my friends are watching this, you know this was a huge issue with my ex. My ex didn't like any of my friends, which if anyone has been in that situation, you know that it's just gonna cause constant drama and it's never gonna really get resolved because they've just decided that they don't like your friends. They don't want you to be close with someone else. My ex was so jealous of my friends, of everyone. They were so jealous of my twin brother because we're so close and they wanted to be the #1 man in my life. How can you feel threatened by someone's brother or by friends that they had before they met you? Like, if they wanted to be with their friends, like, they probably would have, you know, dated them then instead of when you're actually together. Do they manipulate you? And this one is difficult because the whole issue with manipulation is that it's so hard to see when you're in it. I didn't know I was manipulated. I didn't think that I would ever be one of the people that was manipulated, because you never think that it's gonna happen to you. Think of it this way, like, do you put up with stuff now that you usually wouldn't? And do you deal with things differently, or do you accept things more because like it's just how it is, you can't change them? It's hard to identify that you're manipulated, but it's a horrible thing for a person to do to someone else. Do they verbally or physically abuse you? This is not okay at all, and if this happens to you, you need to get help and you need to get out in any way that you can, because no one should have to endure this. So my last question, and a very important one: do you love them? Or do you love the idea of a happy relationship and you're clinging on to it? Because same. Do you deep down think that this is a good relationship? Do you deep down think that this is what you want? If you imagine what relationship you would have wanted for yourself when you were younger, is this where you would have dreamt of ending up? I remember watching Colette Butler's video about letting a dream die, and when I watched it, I was like, am I gonna let my dream of a happy relationship die? For what? For this? I know a lot of people are scared of the breakup because it's terrifying, but it's so worth it because your life becomes so much better and you get the chance to actually be happy. Your happiness in a relationship shouldn't be compromised. You shouldn't be made to feel bad. You shouldn't be treated badly. You shouldn't be abused, harassed. You shouldn't be scared of your partner. You shouldn't be worried or nervous about what's gonna happen today. You should know what you can expect from them and know where they're at, know that you can rely on them, know that they trust you, know how they feel about you, be secure in your relationship. We're not expecting 100% of your relationship to be perfect, you know, all these like flowers and rainbows and all of that stuff, because this is real life and we're people. We're annoying as hell. Of course it's not going to be perfect, but no one should be hurting you. No one should be making you feel bad about yourself. No one should control you. Please talk to someone if you're in the situation. If the points on this list are true for your relationship, find some kind of way to get out of it. Talk to someone that can help you, because if you're watching this video and you're thinking like, oh, this is true, but like, I don't wanna, that's a hassle. That's how I was thinking when I was hearing people talk about their abusive and toxic relationships, and I was like, oh, but it's a hassle to actually confront and acknowledge, and there's a lot of feelings here and it's gonna be a lot of drama and all of that. Well, my life is so much better now. It almost makes me want to cry when I think about how much better off I am now, and all this happiness that I have now that I wouldn't have gotten if I was still in that relationship. And that can happen for you as well. You deserve to be happy. You deserve it so badly. Trust me, I know it's hard to get out of these things, but it's the best thing you can do for yourself. Heavy topic for today, but I hope it's helpful for someone. I shall see you next Friday with a new video. Keep it the good vibes. Bye!